Iran says the US and Israel attacked its nuclear facility in Natanz. The Israeli defense minister has just warned that strikes will intensify, but the military says it is unaware of an attack on Natanz. Washington is also reportedly deploying more troops to the Middle East, despite President Donald Trump saying he's considering winding down military operations in Iran. But he's also ruling out a ceasefire.
Well, look, we can have dialogue, but I don't want to do a ceasefire. You know, you don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side.
The Wall Street Journal says up to 2,500 Marines are being sent, adding to around 50,000 U.S. forces already in the Middle East. The move gives the U.S. 2 expeditionary units in the region. It follows Mr. Trump's criticism of NATO allies, calling them cowards for refusing to help secure the Strait of Hormuz.
NATO could help us, but they so far haven't had the courage to do so. And others could help us. But, you know, we don't use it. You know, at a certain point, it'll open itself at a certain point.
The U.S. leader has been urging NATO, Japan, and China to help safeguard vessels passing through the key oil shipping route. In a possible easing of tensions, Iran says it's prepared to allow Japanese-linked vessels to transit the strait, according to Kyodo News. South Korea also says it is in talks with Iran to secure passage through the Strait of Hormuz. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also saying he spoke with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, condemning the attacks on infrastructure in the region and reiterating the need to ensure shipping lines remain open and secure. Ross Cullen is tracking developments for CNA, and he joins us live from Turkiye. Ross, thank you for joining us. Iran says its nuclear facilities at Natanz came under attack. What do we know about that?
Yeah, that's right, Cullen. We know that the Natanz nuclear facility has been hit. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's nuclear energy watchdog, has said that there is no spike at the moment in radioactive levels. Iran is saying there are no noticeable radioactive leaks at the moment, but it is the second time that this facility has been hit in the last 12 months. In June in 2025, during the 12-day war between the United States and Israel and Iran, it was also subject to attacks from both sides. So we do know that we've seen this step up now on infrastructure attacks, whether it's oil or gas fields and now nuclear facilities, certainly expanding out the targets for the United States and Israel.
Now, Ross, Japan and South Korea saying they are in talks with Iran to secure safe passage for their ships. How serious is the situation becoming?
Yeah, it's becoming a very serious situation. And Cullen, if you look at the exposure, then Asian economies are severely exposed when it comes to the risks of the ongoing blockade in the Gulf. Last year in 2025, 87% of all of the crude that left the Gulf and went through the Strait of Hormuz went to Asia, and 86% of all of the LNG, all of the liquefied natural gas leaving the Gulf, going through the Strait of Hormuz, was destined to Asian economies. Now, the Japanese foreign minister speaking to his Iranian counterpart, Abbas Araghchi, about the possibility of allowing Japanese flagged ships to leave. They've been stuck in the Strait of Hormuz, and Japan relies heavily on oil imports. South Korea also relies heavily on imports of oil. And if you look at other Asian economies, India usually spends around 3% of its annual GDP on oil imports. Thailand, that number's up to 5% of GDP on oil imports.
Now, Ross, away from the Strait of Hormuz, Iran says it launched 2 missiles at Diego Garcia, an island in the Indian Ocean that's about 4,000 kilometers away. What does that tell us about Iran's capabilities?
Yeah, the United Kingdom has condemned those attacks as reckless. This is because the UK has now allowed the United States to launch bombing campaigns from the airbase on the island of Diego Garcia, which is the biggest island in the Chagos Island chain, currently the British Indian Ocean territory, but due to be handed back over to Mauritius's control, about 1,500 kilometres south of Sri Lanka. It's far away, but Iran now launching attacks there, 2 ballistic missiles, one believed to have malfunctioned in flight, the other believed to have been shot down by a US warship. But it does show that Iran is now continuing to expand its attacks on allies of the United States, hence those ongoing attacks on the United Arab Emirates, which has said this Saturday it's come under more drone attacks because there's a US airbase there, hence the same in Bahrain, in Kuwait that we've seen as well. So Iran has now identified the United Kingdom as an ally of the United States, and therefore it launched that unsuccessful attack on the island of Diego Garcia.
Many thanks for that update. Cullen reporting live from Turkiye.